and welcome to the Monday evening.
Love ball like I do. After Dark, so must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fixed.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
We welcome you to the Field of 68 After Dark on this Tuesday night, December the 10th. I'm John Fanta. We've got North Carolina greatness on hand tonight. Tyler Hansbrough is here. We've got Mike LaTulip here with his Illini jersey in the background with the Illini going down the stretch right now with Wisconsin. We will get to Illinois, Wisconsin. We will get to Arkansas, Michigan, who are going down the stretch. We've got a busy night to get to here. But I'm going to start the night with this question here on Tuesday night, December the 10th, a little bit more than 5 minutes into the season. Mike LaTulip, I want to know right now, who you believe in the most at the top of the food chain, of the top hierarchy in this sport today. Which team at the big boy table are you buying the most?
Well, it's a great question, John, to start things off. I think there's obviously a number of teams that you look at the top. Right? You look at Auburn, you look at Gonzaga, Kentucky, Tennessee obviously getting a win tonight, staying undefeated. If you were to say what team would I have to bet on if I had to bet on one to go the distance at this point, I think it's Duke. Honestly, and I still think they have a ways to go. But if we're projecting out towards the end of the year and what they can be, the way they defend, and I know Incarnate Word, it was 28-21 at half. Incarnate Word didn't score for the first 10 minutes of the second half. And we've seen that throughout the season at Arizona, in certain spots against Kansas, certain spots against Kentucky. I mean, we've just seen it, over the course of the season. So I love the way they defend first. And then you talk about the offensive talent that they have, how that's only going to get better for them. That would be my bet, but certainly there are a few other teams that are ahead of them right now.
Tyler, where do you stand at the top of the country? Which team do you like the most?
I think Duke is a good choice, but that's not my pick. I think Duke is young. I don't like them in late game situations right now, but I think you do have a great point, Mike. I think that eventually when they figure out late game situations and with their size and length and the way they can win ugly as well, I think they're going to be a team. They're going to be at the top. But right now for me, it's Alabama. I think Alabama has a lot of different weapons. I don't really think that they've really started to peak. I think Mark Sears is a player. He's a veteran player that can get you a bucket. And Cliff Omorie is an athletic big down low that is going to contest every shot. They have depth. They play very efficiently, and they have a certain style that wins. And they had a deep tournament run last year. I like that mix of athleticism, veteran players with a deep team. I think Alabama is going to be playing in for a national championship when it's all said and done at the end of the year.
I'm going to go with Auburn. I still think Auburn is the best team in college basketball. And I say that even after the loss at Duke last week. Johni Broome is a top 2 player in college basketball, depending on where you want to put him with Cam Jones, who has every right to be number 1 as well. But when you surround Broome with their guard play, there's a team that had an insane big man last year and surrounded him with elite guard play, and they made it all the way in the national championship game. And they win it all if they don't have a historically dominant UConn team in their way, and that's Purdue. Auburn structurally has that type of makeup. Broome is phenomenal. The ability of Chad Baker-Mazara to hit tough shots is consistent. It's not just a flash in the pan. He does it pretty much every game. Tahad Pettiford is that swing player. Like when he starts to make some threes for them, everything else seems to fall into place. And then you've got Kelly, you've got Jones. Bruce Pearl has options. Defense is not optional. You know they're going to defend. You know they're going to rebound, and then they can play through Broome. So when you look at that equation, I think the only concern I have, Mike, is that at some point, every team in the SEC could have a 2-week stretch where they're, quote, broken because of how much of a bear this league is going to be. And you might get in one of those stretches where you could struggle to get back your best identity because of how that makes you question yourself as a team, right? A lot of great teams go through that stretch in a season where they're wondering maybe who they are or who they were in those moments and can they get it back. And Mike, I think that's the one thing I look at with the Southeastern Conference. There are several Final Four caliber teams in the Southeastern Conference, but we've seen it in leagues before that are just such a monster that sometimes teams do show a sign of blinking. And that's where, Mike, Duke's not going to have that in the ACC this year.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think you look at, just look at Auburn, how Auburn has to finish SEC play, right? You're home against Ole Miss. You go to Kentucky, to Texas A&M, and then home against Alabama, right? There's a chance there, right? Definitely a resume building couple weeks, but also there's a chance that you could be stumbling into the SEC tournament from there. And so I'm really curious to see how the middle of the pack and honestly how the teams towards the bottom of the SEC fare. Can you sneak out some wins? Because that's only, honestly, it's going to strengthen the conference. Because I think it's the best conference at the top, right? There's no question. You look at the net, Ken Pom, whatever you want to look at, 4 of the top 5 teams are from the SEC. AP, you name it. So you're exactly right, John. I think it's part of the reason why I think Duke is going to have probably a little bit more time to build, because they're going to be able to learn probably while winning a lot of games in the ACC.
All right, let's turn to what happened at the Garden earlier tonight as Arkansas and Michigan are going down the stretch. Number 1 Tennessee, their first game is number 1 this season. They beat Miami 75-62. Jazz Lanier puts up 22 points in this game. Zakai Ziegler, the seasoned veteran, 13 points, 9 assists. Igor Milicic had 16, and the Vols hit 10 threes en route to a win over a Miami team that is 3-7. A disastrous start to the year for Jim Laranaga's team. They're pretty much buried, but Tennessee's a winner by 13. Mike, your thoughts on the Volunteers? You know, we just talked about who the best team in the country is. They're the team with number 1 next to their name. Where do you stand with them?
Yeah, I thought they showed exactly why they're so dangerous tonight. Miami starts off the game shooting 6 of 12 from 3. You're saying, okay, it's 25-24, and next thing you know, you haven't scored in 8 minutes. And they close out the half, and you're still sitting on 25 points. And so I think they have the ability, just like a few other teams in college basketball, they have the ability to pretty much end games in a 10-minute stretch, right? That's 25% of the game. And if you are able to guard at the level they're able to guard, and the difference this year with Tennessee is that it's the highest rated offense that Rick Barnes has had since that 2019 Grant Williams team that was 3rd in the country in offensive efficiency. So that's going to allow them to not only, I think, they're obviously going to be able to guard a number of teams in the SEC, but you got to keep pace with the Alabamas. You got to keep pace with the Auburns, right? You got to keep pace with the Kentuckys. And I think that's where Tennessee, I think, has faltered in years past. Like they needed a grinded out type of game. And now you're able to play with a little bit more pace. And I like the offensive balance that they have. Now, would I put them, I know they're number 1 in the country right now. Would I put them ahead of Auburn? I don't think I would. Would I put them ahead of Alabama? I don't think I would. Kentucky, I think you may be splitting hairs there. And again, I think that just speaks to the league. But the one thing that I think Tennessee does better than a lot of other teams in the country, especially right now with some of these younger teams, every single guy that steps on the floor for Tennessee knows exactly what's expected of them. Every single guy plays to their ability, doesn't play outside of that box. And that's how you win games. I mean, all the way down to Cade Phillips. Cade Phillips comes into the game and knows exactly what he needs to do. Rim run, be active, finish above the rim, and it goes on down the line. I'm really impressed with Tennessee, and again, I keep saying it. The SEC is just absolutely bananas.
Tyler, your take on Tennessee, what they do?
I first of all, Tennessee, Rick Barnes, his style of defense and the way he teaches defense and the grinded out kind of games, that is a formula that wins, and it wins. It's consistent, it's proven, and kind of my concern has always been with Tennessee is, will they have the scoring to actually win them ball games? And I think Chaz Lanier is a guy that's going to score for them. Can he keep it up? And the other guy is Zakai Ziegler. This guy doesn't really get the credit he deserves. He is a veteran. He's one of the best passers in college basketball. He has the ability to pick up other teams' point guards full court, put a lot of pressure on them defensively. I think there's a lot to be said for a player like that, and I do like veteran players because those are the type of players that win in the tournament. And the Milicic kid, he is a big, and I think he does a lot of things for them offensively. I think they're a little bit more offensively gifted than they've been in the past, and I'm going to be curious when SEC play comes around how they compete against the Alabamas, Auburns, because that's when we'll have a really good gauge if they are the top dog and they deserve that number one ranking. But their style, defensive style, and grind it and beat you up basketball, that's a formula that wins.
Yeah, over the last 81 games, Rick Barnes is 61-20. Is that good? Volunteers will put that to the test on Saturday when they pay a visit to Champaign to meet the Illinois Fighting Illini, which is where we turn right now. The Illini, a winner 86-80 over Wisconsin tonight. Trey White, Brad Underwood said, I want to play Trey White more. He had 23 points, the majority of which came in the first half, 6 of 8, 8 rebounds. Kasparas Yakachonis, 24 points, 6 and 5. Kylan Boswell with 19 and 6. Really good Big Ten game. Like just back and forth, fun to watch. Thought Wisconsin competed. But at the end of the day, the Illini at home, good for a bit of a cushion, and they find a way to win this game. Mike LaTulip, what have you seen? What do you see from Illinois to win this game tonight? And what do you make of this Illini team thus far in terms of what determines their success level this season?
Yeah, I thought it was a really mature win because you're coming off of it's a bounce back spot. You're up 10 in Evanston against Northwestern. Can't close that game out. Obviously some personnel questions. Who do you close the game with? And tonight, really weird game. Wisconsin comes out switching, which I don't know if Illinois anticipated that. They're typically a team that sits and drop, and Illinois, it's the reason why they've won 8 straight against them, because they kill teams and drop with the guys that they've had over the years, and Wisconsin has been on the opposite end of that. But tonight, you get all this foul trouble on Wisconsin in the first half. In the second half, Illinois puts Wisconsin into the bonus with 14 and a half minutes left, and then you just grind it out. Right? You needed these guys to experience a game like this, to close one out on your home floor. You need to protect it in conference play. And I'll say this, Trey White, that's the activity he needs every single night, whether it's 23 points or not. That's the activity that he needs. But I think they had the 2 best players on the floor tonight. Trey White was great, but Kylan Boswell and Kasparas Yakachonis specifically, I think as the season goes on, as Illinois gets into the top 25, which I think they will as the weeks roll by, people are going to start seeing this guy and people are going to start putting him in the conversation. I think he's All-American good. John, I think you've watched it. Tyler, you've probably seen it. Like he is that good. And I think he's that important to this team, even as a freshman. And I'll make the distinction too. Him, Avicic, those aren't normal freshmen. Those are guys that have been pros. All right, go ahead, John.
What makes Yakachonis that good? What is it about him that gives him the pro upside? Of course, he's been at that level, but can make him an All-American.
I think you saw it on display tonight. Like there's just he's not afraid of any moment. And part of that is because when he's playing spot minutes in the EuroLeague for Barcelona, with a number of guys on that team, with Mirotic, with guys that have played in the NBA. I'm sure we've all seen EuroLeague basketball. Like it is high level basketball, and he's been a part of that. So, he's not afraid of that. I think what you saw tonight too is not only his ability to facilitate, because he definitely does that, but he's turned a corner after they played Oakland, and Oakland threw that junk zone at him, and he was so passive, deferential. Now you have a guy that's like, oh shoot, I totally forgot I'm a guy that in FIBA play was putting up 40, was putting up 35. And I gotta be a guy that's assertive to open up things for everybody else. If I'm a guy that's pass first off of ball screens, I'm screwing myself and our team. So the switch flipped for him, and he's had now 4 straight games with 20 plus. We've seen his scoring ability. He can obviously pass it, and the rebounding too, crashing in, getting offensive rebounds. He plays tough. I think he defends at a high level. I mean, he's got it all. And it's the reason why he's projected top 10 pick right now. And I think that's just going to help propel Illinois. And then these other pieces have to be good as well. But having that at the point guard spot, a guy that plays with that type of maturity for that age is, it's invaluable.
It is. By the way, here at the Garden, Michigan has the ball down 89-87. 9 seconds left for the Wolverines. They're down 2. They've got the ball. 5 seconds on the clock. Dribble handoff. 3 seconds on the clock. With 3.7, Dusty May has called a timeout. Arkansas is up 89-87, trying to hang on. Tyler, you've been watching this game here. This is a game, Tyler. It feels like the last 3 seconds. Like John Calipari has to win this ball game. His team was up double figures in the second half. They look like they had this game wrapped.
Yeah, and watching this, I mean, this was a great game to watch. This was up and down. And, honestly, I was kind of expecting Michigan to come out in the second. I really felt like Michigan controlled the first, but Arkansas came out and kind of dominated them from the start of the second. And the one thing about Arkansas is they're so athletic, and they're such a sporadic team that they can build these leads. My main question has always been, are they going to play defense? Are they going to play disciplined basketball and winning basketball? They still struggle, just like they did at Kentucky, guarding pick and rolls. And that style of basketball, when you
struggle.
Guard, yeah.
And putting it kindly.
Yeah, and their defensive laps, I mean, they've let Michigan back into this game, and Michigan's gone on a pretty good run. But, I was ready to come on here and talk about how I kind of thought Arkansas had high upside, and then just like normal, they've kind of let me down. The Calipari's team's just kind of slipping away at the end right here, and Michigan has a chance to win this game when arguably they shouldn't.
All right, we saw an epic last time I was on was Saturday night, and that was the incredible finish to Kentucky and Gonzaga. Are we in for another here? We get another timeout called, this time by Arkansas. I always laugh, Mike, like literally Michigan comes out and Cal just looks at the 5 guys and, now calls another timeout to, I don't know, draw up how he wants to defend this. I don't know what you're anticipating. I mean, it's 89-87. My thought is they're going to go for a 3. They got 3 seconds. They're going to go for the win here.
Yeah, I mean, it's 89-87. John Calipari just burned his last time out. Let's say you get a 5-second call here. You can't even – I mean, it's you talk about like drawing up an inbound play. You better know exactly what you want to run on the sideline. If for some reason you get the ball back here.
Well, Fanta, you think they're going for a 3?
Yeah, they're going for the win.
Man,
I think
you would go
maybe they try something over the top to Golden.
I would go with Wolf, and I think they're at Arkansas is going to come out switching everything, and I think they're going to have a backs or somebody off a screen is going to slip towards the basket, whether that's Wolf, who's 7 foot and has size, is going to lead them right to a layup. I think they're going to go for the tie. I just don't.
Yeah.
I think with the Calipari team, if you take it in overtime, you have it.
Yeah. We could get a keep situation here. Like you get it into Danny Wolf. If they're going to switch, dribble, keep, get it downhill, like almost like a Sabonis type play, it's possible for sure.
You got 3.7 seconds. which is
Mike, I like
eternity.
that.
Yeah,
I like a
that
wolf
call.
on the elbow right there.
Get it to Wolf, top of the key. Somebody comes off. Maybe it's the inbounder coming off for a dribble handoff. Keep. Maybe get him to bust a switch.
Here we go. Here's your inbound. 3 seconds to go. They get it in. Backdoor deflected. Fader at the buzzer. Arkansas wins 89-87. John Calipari gets a much-needed win. The Razorbacks come back from down 31-16. They guarded that well. They guarded that entry pass well, and that's a huge win for Cal and Arkansas. Their first quality win of the season.
They needed that. I mean, they needed that. I mean, you want to show the defensive ownership and maturity to when you build a lead like that in the second half. You got guys that aren't worried about what's going on offensively. It's about getting stops and closing out that game. But you got the one that mattered at the end. And I thought Tyler made a good point. You know, Michigan started turning the ball over in the second half, and that plays right into Arkansas's hands in what they want to do. Because sometimes they have so much randomness in their half-court offense. Randomness is not always the best thing in half-court offense, but this team thrives in transition. And as many times as they can, they need to get their asses out in transition, because randomness is fine in transition. Transition basically is randomness. So play like Tyler mentioned, really liking Brazil. Like that's a guy that needs to get out, run the floor. Wagner, Flan, Nelly Davis, run the floor. They need to run and honestly stay out of the half court as much as they can. But tonight, you were, I don't want to say bailed out, but DJ Wagner hit some massive shots. Should have been 3 threes in a row. His foot was on the line for one of them. But, this could be an inflection point for Arkansas. And understanding, hey, we knock off a ranked team on a neutral floor. It's the net will take kindly to this type of win, because of where Michigan's at. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe this is a springboard. You would hope if you're in Fayetteville and you're watching this, you hope this is a springboard, because I know it's been a little bit underwhelming here to start the season.
Well, in the second half, Arkansas shot 16 for 33. You said it. They did clean up turnovers, but they were able to force them. In the second half, they get out on the break. They forced 12 Michigan turnovers, 12 of them in the second half. And when this team gets out on the run, like any Calipari team, you know that he's got the talented guards to be able to get up and down. And in the second half, DJ Wagner, if you sold stock on him, he proved you wrong in the final 20 minutes. He had 16, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds in this game. And Boogie Fland, he took 18 shots, but he was better in the second half. He ended up with 7 assists to just 2 turnovers. Like this is the type of win. Tyler, if you're Arkansas and you lose this game, the questions mount. Is this going sideways? Look at where Kentucky's at right now. There's pressure on Cal here to win at Arkansas. People hear that. The kids hear that. And they were down 31-16, Tyler. They looked like they were going to get humiliated at the Garden tonight. Says a lot about that team that they figured out a way to come back. But you know what the big thing was, too? John L. Davis had a couple of key plays in this game. He had the game-winning deflection there for Arkansas. So, Tyler, it's a not perfect. We'll talk about things they got to work on in a moment, but you got to give credit where it's due. Cal just got a key win at Arkansas, his biggest thus far as Razorbacks head coach.
Yeah, this is a big win for them. You can never take that away. Michigan's a very quality opponent. John L. Davis, first of all, that storyline, he was scoreless in the first half, and he turned it around in the second. And that's one thing you got to give Arkansas credit for, is they didn't have a great first half. They came around in the second and really turned it around. Excellent night from DJ Wagner. I've always kind of believed in him. But Adu Thero is a guy that's really improved. I like him. I like the Brazil kid, even though he's been injured and he hasn't had the smoothest, career as a college basketball player so far. I think he's dealt with a lot of injuries, some coaching changes as well. But he's a player that can go. He's probably a future NBA player as well. But in all honesty, Fanta, I walk away from this game, I think Michigan's a better team. And I think it took DJ Wagner having a hero night and trying to lift this team up past Michigan. And when I watch Michigan, I'm very impressed from the Wolf kid, his size, the way he can handle the ball, and his passing ability. And the Vlad Golden player he's tremendously improved. He is no longer just a rim protector. He is a scoring threat down low. He rolls to the rim really hard, and he makes defenses have to collapse, which opens up outside players for wide open threes. I'm impressed by this Michigan team. They showed a lot of heart, even though they didn't get the win. I think that they're a fun team to watch, and they're a team that, when it's all said and done, I haven't been the biggest cheerleader for the Big Ten. They could be a team, I could see them, winning some games in the tournament. I like Michigan.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Tyler. I think there's a lot to like about the optionality that they have offensively. And they came into this game, they're a good defensive team. So for Arkansas to hang 89 on them, that's really good. And so, I look at the versatility of Danny Wolf that's obviously been on display, needs to take care of the ball. Like when he takes care of the ball, he could be like a first team All Big Ten type of guy. Almost a triple double tonight. I just think his size and versatility, I think he's going to have at least a cup of coffee in the league. I think he's that good. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
And it's so wide open. It is anybody's ball.
It is really wide
open.
From the Midwest all the way out to the West Coast. I mean, there's a couple of West Coast teams that are right there, UCLA and Oregon.
Yeah, a big one. UCLA getting the road win at Oregon the other night. Really, really impressed with Michigan, the effort they had tonight. But just quickly to put a bow on Arkansas, Tyler mentioned the defense and the concerns there. I talked about offensively wanting to get out and run more. If you want to get out and run more, you got to get stops, and you got to put yourself in position to create advantages offensively in transition. And the only way you do that, most times, you can run on makes. You got to really train yourself to do that, but you need to get stops and finish possessions. And they didn't do that as much here down the stretch, but they had portions of this game where they were doing that, forcing turnovers and getting out on the break. And I think that's where they excel.
Look, this is a game that sums up the entire John Calipari experience in recent years. Arkansas was down by 15. By the way, it's Cal's first 15-plus point comeback win over an AP top 15 team since beating West Virginia 6 years ago. So this is the largest comeback win in terms of magnitude and in the game for him in over half a decade. They're down by 15. Their body language not great. Then they start to guard, and you start to see why they're a top 20 KenPom defensive team. They start to defend. They get stops. They're a stop-driven team. They are not a let's just play half-court basketball team, because you both know this. When you play a half-court game, the explosive talent that you have gets held back. It becomes more team basketball. Principles, ball screen coverage. And Arkansas is not a team that can play a real half-court, in-the-sand type of game, because perimeter shot making is not a consistent force for them. Tonight, they go 9 for 23 from 3. Boogie Flan shows up and scores 20. But the second half is about DJ Wagner. DJ Wagner took this game and put it on his shoulders and showed us why he came out of high school as one of the best prospects in his class, why there was so much buzz when he said he was going to go to Kentucky and play for John Calipari. Trayvon Brazile played a big boy game tonight. Now, he had 15 points. He had 6 rebounds, but he was 6 of 8 from the floor. Adu Thero is the guy he's unlocked a whole layer to his game. This is a heck of a win for Arkansas. It's a game, though, that they had to have in a lot of respects, because if you don't get this one, you're wondering when you're going to be able to break through because you've had multiple chances. And let's face it, they got embarrassed by Illinois on Thanksgiving Day. Anybody who watched that game, you saw Illinois really torch Arkansas and beat Arkansas's defense. But on this night, you said it, Mike, to score 89 on that Michigan team, to show your guard talent, to find a way to will yourself to a win. This is a step that was so needed for the Razorbacks. And it's a step that I think can go a long way because Mike and Tyler, I'll get back to you in a moment on this, but Mike, we both know this. John Calipari's teams, all they need is one spark to then be able to swing a season in that direction, because when they get out on the run like they did tonight, it really can be an avalanche effect. I think the concerning thing is you led this game by 18, and then you're going in like halfway through the second half, you are well in control of this game, and somehow this goes down to the final possession. Though that's the thing that you've got to be able to straighten out, Mike, is how do we avoid having such a 180 within the course of a game?
I think the biggest way you avoid it is compartmentalizing the offensive end and the defensive end. Like when they were struggling offensively in the beginning of the game, they were struggling defensively in the beginning of the game. And when you tie the two together, that's never good. And then the shots start falling, and then energy gets picked up defensively. You start forcing turnovers, and you talk about the avalanche effect. And that's young teams. Young teams go through that. And like you have to make the distinction of like the defensive end is the defensive end, offensive end is the offensive end. They tie together in some forms, but the way you think about them have to be separate. So we talk about how big this win is tonight because I want to hammer home the point. Like this was a big win tonight for Arkansas. Not only just for morale and for what it could mean moving forward, but you get the win tonight. You move to 8-2. You go Central Arkansas, Carolina A&T, and Oakland in your next 3 games. Should be 11-2. Like you don't get the win tonight, you get those 3. Now you're at 10 wins, and you are really relying on SEC conference play. And if I'm any of these teams that are, I don't want to use the phrase fringe tournament team that our friend Tyler used last year to describe my Illini, but you don't want to have to rely on, man, we got to win 12 games in SEC play to get to 20 wins or to get to 21 wins and then feel like we're safe in the tournament. Like if you're in the SEC non-conference play, you better do your work early because it is going to be a bloodbath in the SEC.
Man, think about this. I saw this tonight, Tyler, and I'll get you on this here on the SEC. Jared Burson, who does a great job. Arkansas's win over Michigan brings the SEC to 16-8. 16-8 in non-conference play against AP top 25 teams this season. Those 16 non-conference wins over top 25 teams are the most ever by a conference in a regular season. And even unranked SEC teams are 5-4 against the top 25. Like, Tyler, that league is ridiculous. I do want to get your opinion on this here before we break. Arkansas, long-term here. I'm not going to, it's easy to give an answer now. Arkansas or Kentucky?
Who I like better in the tournament? I would say right now I'd go with Kentucky. I think the upside is higher for Arkansas, but I think Kentucky plays more defensive, or their defensive, more disciplined team. And to your point, Fanta, I think when Arkansas, if they figure it out defensively, and the reason why I think defense is such an important thing for them is because it's a heck of a lot different ball game when you're forcing the other team to turn the ball over versus when the other team is hitting shots and you're taking the ball out of the basket. It really slows the game down versus when you turn the other team over and you get turnovers, it leads right to your fast break points, which is only going to help Arkansas. And it really plays into their pace of play, which they want to do. And if they play that fast pace and they bring it defensively, Arkansas has a high ceiling. But right now, I'm going to go with Kentucky. I just think they're a more disciplined team, and they've executed better down the stretch, especially in the Duke game would be a great example in my mind, because I really felt like Duke kind of controlled that whole game all the way up until the end when Kentucky came back and stole it from them.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about the National Player of the Year race. Who these guys think is the best player in the country? Who could be sleepers as the season goes along? You already heard one from Mike LaTulip. There are more coming. Plus, the top prospect in the class of 2025 committed today, and he already has signed his NLI. And he's heading to a place that, well, we don't normally talk about when we talk about number one recruits in a class. What do the guys make of A.J. Debonsa to BYU? All that and more on After Dark ahead.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. Now that college basketball season is back in full swing, I need to remind you guys about our partners over at Autograph, where the real college hoops fans reside. The Autograph app curates all of the best content for every sports fan and every sports fan's favorite team. Podcasts, blogs, analysis. It's all there without the nonsense from the talking heads that don't actually watch the games. And there's a bonus. Consuming content on the Autograph app earns you coins that can be redeemed for rewards for things like no-fee tickets or signed jerseys from your favorite players. There are a couple new features in the app that I need to let you guys know about as well. Autograph Replay gives you a quick-hitting summary of the previous day's news so you can keep track of all the important things going on with your favorite teams. And Autograph Rooms allows you to chat in real time with the true voices of fandom within your team's community. So go to the link in the description or scan that QR code on your screen and download the Autograph app.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. John Fanta, Tyler Hansbrough, Mike LaTulip with you on a Tuesday night, and we are talking National Player of the Year race. So yesterday, Jeff Goodman put out a National Player of the Year watch list. You can find it at the Field of 68. Here are those names: Cam Jones of Marquette, Janai Broome of Auburn, Cooper Flagg at Duke, Keyshawn Gilbert of Iowa State, Braden Smith at Purdue, P.J. Haggerty at Memphis, Walter Clayton Jr. at Florida, Zakai Ziegler at Tennessee, Ace Baldwin of Penn State. Tough night tonight for Ace. John Tonje of Wisconsin has had a great year to this point, but tonight Illinois guarded him. Gonzaga's Ryan Nembhard, and then Dylan Harper of Rutgers, we could talk about a little bit here. Tyler Hansbrough, coming from a guy who's been at the top of this sport. Who's the best player in college basketball?
Right now, it's Janai Broome. I think Auburn, you got to credit them. They're winning right now. They won the Maui Invitational. They've had key wins over Houston, is a big win against them. He's averaging 20, close to 12, 3 assists. And also, he's playing highly efficient basketball. If you watch him play, it's not like he's forcing up shots or chasing stats. I think he plays within the game. And right now, I think he's playing the best of anybody. And the person I would put right behind him, and who I'm really kind of surprised by this year, is Cam Jones. I think Cam Jones has been playing unbelievable. And I just want to bring him up because he's one of my favorite players to watch. And, if there's any young kids out there, I think there's too much emphasis on scoring in basketball right now. And I think Cam Jones is a guy that impacts the game in other areas just away from scoring. I think defensively he brings it. The way he moves and controls a game outside of scoring is just incredible, and I think he deserves a lot of credit as well. But Janai Broome is my number one, and I'm going to have to go with Cam Jones right behind him for Marquette.
Mike?
Yeah, I think Janai Broom and Cam Jones are kind of in their own class right now.
Yes.
And then, it's really whoever you want to put under that. Love Broom. My pick would be Cam Jones. I just think he's doing more with less right now. And that's no slight against, Marquette as a team, because I think they're a really good team. They're a top 10 team in the country. And, but we saw in the Big East tournament last year when Tyler Kolek was injured, what it could look like when you have Cam Jones as your primary ball handler. And we are seeing that in a big way this year. I mean, the scoring has been incredible. I mean, 20 points a game. He does it all three levels, every which way. You want to blitz him. He retreats, finds the right man, puts you in rotation. You want to play drop coverage. He gets downhill, snakes the ball screen, finishes crafty around the rim. You want to sag off him. He hits a three, step backs. I mean, it is the highest of levels you can get to as a scorer in college basketball, but the facilitating is insane. 66 assists, 14 turnovers this year. I mean, almost you're talking a 6-to-1 assist to turnover ratio with the usage that he has. It's just the burden that he's carrying every single night and the load that he's carrying every single night is why I give it to Jones, but Janai Broom is right there. I mean, I feel like you're splitting hairs. These are two really tremendous players, and it's great about guys that that stick around in college basketball and continue to develop.
So, 3 players have previously won National Player of the Year as freshmen. Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson. Cooper Flagg could be the 4th. There's no question about it. Now, I'm going to make the argument for Cooper Flagg, even though I think Broom and Jones are in their own class. It's more fun when we try to make other arguments. So I'm going to try. Number 1, he is the absolute centerpiece of that Duke team, right? He does have tools to work with, but there's no question that he's the main man offensively. He's asked to do everything for that team from a standpoint of be the lead ball handler in critical game situations, be the guy who backs you down and scores. When the three-point shot is falling, there's nothing he cannot do. And the amount of pressure that he puts on the rim and the ability to still average 17, 9, and 4 per game is ridiculous. I don't even think Cooper Flagg has scratched the surface yet. I don't. Remember, he's not even halfway through his season, and he's about a third. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come for Cooper Flagg. And I think that if he's already number 3 in this race, which to me he is right now, and if Duke keeps rising and they end up being the number 1 team in the country, which I think in 3 or 4 weeks, if not sooner, Duke could be the number 1 team in America, then how are you going to deny the best player, the most talented NBA draft prospect, the winningest player on the floor if Duke is number 1 and they're just winning and winning and winning? They could dominate the ACC. They could go in the ACC and lose like 2 or 3 games the whole season. They could. They could also lose 6 and be a bad road team and struggle. But if Flagg stays healthy and he's only scratched the surface like people in his circle are saying, and he only continues to figure it out, what happens, Tyler, when Cooper Flagg is the one with the ball in his hands, and this time it's not like against Kansas or Kentucky when he stumbled or when he slipped on the floor and turned it over? What happens when he starts making the right plays and he's averaging 17 or 18, 10, and 4 per game, and Duke's the best team in the nation? How's that sound for Cooper Flagg to be the National Player of the Year?
Well, Fanta, I think you have a great argument. It sounds great, but I'll say this. My only issue, and this isn't a Cooper Flagg issue, is I do not like that Duke puts him in ISOs in late game situations and just expects him to go get a bucket. I think because Cooper Flagg is so talented and he has that ability, sometimes it's not used to his advantage. I think there's too many tools on Duke that they should get him something throughout the offense, and that way they're not so predictable and teams just can't load up on him. But no, you're right, and you've got to give Cooper Flagg his credit. And, I do like Duke, and obviously the ACC is down this year. Carolina's not playing
Does he remind you of
to
anybody?
what we expected.
Does Flag remind you of anyone, Tyler?
The way Cooper Flag isn't just he's a more well-rounded basketball player than just an ISO scorer. I think he has that ability, but I think that his ability to guard any position, his length, and his athleticism, and also the fact that he's 17 or 18, whatever he is, he's that young. Not anybody off the top of my mind. I mean, a lot of people want to say, his build is a little bit similar to KD, but to me, I think KD is a much better ISO scorer than Cooper Flag, even though they have a similar build. And Cooper Flag impacts the game in other areas that KD doesn't. He's not an ISO scorer like KD in my mind.
Mike, you seem to have a thought on who Flag might remind you of.
Yeah, I mean, this may be a little random, but when I think about his defensive tools, right, his ability to block shots at the rim, really good in passing lanes, has really good size, can slash, right? Maybe not the best shooter. Like, he reminds me a lot of Andrei Kirilenko. I know that's like crazy random, but there's just a lot of similarities between there. And Kirilenko was an all-star. So like, if you have a career like Andrei Kirilenko, that's a good ass career. So I think, Tyler, you make a good point too, because and Fanta, you also made good points. But thinking about how much the ball is in his hands, I want to see him be more efficient. And I think he can be more efficient with the ball in his hands a little bit less, as crazy as that sounds. Because just with his activity and his length, like, he's a guy that just by osmosis is going to get, 12 points a game on runouts, on offensive rebound putbacks. Like, if he plays with that type of activity, that's what he can do. And then you factor in free throws and some of the other stuff in the half court. Now you're getting to your 18 a game. Go ahead.
Continue. No. Finish your point.
Okay. I thought you looked like you had a thought, which I'm sure you do. But yeah, I wonder as they continue to evolve as a team, because it was really interesting to see him go out against Louisville, and then they just completely spread things out. It was just pin downs with Con Knippel, and I think you can still play like that. You can still go, hey, Cooper Flag, pin down for Knippel. Now you're really putting teams in a bind if Flag's going to roll out of that. Like, it's the beauty of having a lot of really good players on your team. So he's not there yet in terms of, and I think you acknowledge that, Fanta. He's not there yet in terms of, like, right now who's the National Player of the Year, but certainly if they can put him in a position to be more efficient, there's the sky's the limit with Cooper.
Yeah. Another name to watch, Walter Clayton. His sheer productivity for Florida has been ridiculous. They just haven't played anybody yet, so nationally people aren't talking about him enough, but he's averaging close to 20 a game, close to 4 assists per game. He does so many things for Florida, so keep an eye on him. We're going to break because we're working on an Illinois player who may join us here in a few moments to recap the Illini's win tonight over Wisconsin. So we might have a special guest for you. Up next, too, AJ DeBonsa. What do the guys make of him heading to BYU? We'll put a bow on the night in college basketball. This is After Dark.
Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, the Rhythm app. Spelled RITHMM, is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up-to-the-second against-the-spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in the Rhythms metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. John Fanta, Tyler Hansbrough, Mike LaTulip. All right, T. I got to ask you this question here. So, big morning on the Field of 68. We have breaking news coverage. AJ DeBansa, 6'9", over 7-foot wingspan, number one prospect in the class of 2025, was down to North Carolina, Alabama, and Brigham Young University. And he picks BYU. He's going to Kevin Young. And he's going for in the neighborhood of $7 million, somewhere around that neighborhood. Tyler, what's your reaction to DeBansa picking BYU? What do you make of this?
I think a lot of kids would go to BYU for $7 million. It would take me a heck of a lot more to go. But you know what? I just want to say I wish he would have been in Tar Heel, but you know what? When they threw that number out, that's NIL. This is what we're living in nowadays. So, you know what? That's what he wanted, and I know BYU. They got a heck of a player.
Okay, Mike. That was good.
Yeah, I no doubt this is or are we going to Kylan?
Yes, we are. We're going to go to him right now.
Okay.
Let's go to our special guest. Coming to us from Champaign after Illinois beats Wisconsin 86-80 tonight. Kylan Boswell had 19 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. The Illini get a top 20 win over Wisconsin. Kylan, John Fanta, Mike LaTulip with an Illinois jersey right behind him. Tyler Hansbrough with you. Congratulations on the win. What's this win mean for this group, and what was the thought process going into this game that you guys had to do? What was Coach Underwood saying you had to do to beat Wisconsin?
He's been emphasizing offensive rebounding for us. That's been our biggest thing. The last 2 games, we've had low percentages on that. They've impacted our situations too. We had a certain mentality after Northwestern. We really felt like we should have handled the game better. We took a L. So coming this game, it was big emphasis for us. Get a dub at home. I feel like I think everything that we had on our game plans tonight, we executed really well.
Boswell,
Yeah,
hey,
Kylan, what's up,
tonight.
man? Oh, go ahead, Tyler. Are you going?
Yeah, I'll
You got
ask
it?
and yes. Hey, I love the energy you played with in the second half. You really brought it. Good win. How does this win carry over and prepare you guys for Tennessee coming up? It's a big weekend.
Wisconsin's a really talented team. I feel like we did a good job with taking away Tonje. I feel like it's me and T-Dub personally taking out with pride and a lot of effort on defensive end, cut off the water of the best players on the team. Coming into this game, they have really talented players. They're a very talented team. So it'll be a big game for us. I think we'll be prepared by the time after today, just take a rest day, chill, and then just get on the game plan.
Yeah,
My head
Kylan,
looks
you
crazy.
mentioned shutting the water off a few of those Wisconsin players. I want to know, I think we all know what you're capable of offensively. I know that the percentages haven't probably been where you want them this year, but defensively, man, I think you're one of the most underrated defenders in the country. And I just want to know for you, like, how you're compartmentalizing that, right? Like, what is your mindset defensively when you go into these games, when you see who your matchup is? What are you thinking?
I personally love if somebody's on social media or something like that, saying this guard is better than me or something like that, and I just take that personally. And I'm never going to come and say anything bad about that person, but I'm always going to come with the mindset where I'm going to try to shut you down. I feel like I've done a great job with that on the defensive end, just cutting off these best players' ability to score or impact the game and help them win. Coach Underwood has just instilled a certain type of mentality with me. When I first came here, he told me that he's going to need me on the defensive end to be that guy, to be one of the tip of the spear for us. So every game I just come with the kind of a pit bull mentality, just, come out here and shut these guys down.
Mike,
John?
anything else?
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
Mike?
I got one more for you. Your counterpart tonight in the backcourt, KJ.
Man.
I see it. Hey, I see it. I see it, man. I see it. Hey, there may not be more that needs to be said, but I'm going to ask you what it's been like thus far being alongside him. I'll just ask that flat out.
It's watching a professional basketball player play right in front of my eyes is insane. He is insane. He's been dominating every single time he steps on the court. And I've never even said this to him. He always comes to me for advice and stuff, and I'm trying to be like, his on his shoulder, on his wing, and always, help him situations. He's truly an inspiration for me watching him play. He's always coming every day with the right mentality. Everyday guy, as Coach Arnold was saying, every single day he shows up and plays. I mean, I love what's going on for him. I'm so happy for him. How much work he puts in doesn't go noticed, but you can see on the court every time he steps on the court, he's been dominating. I love it.
Kylan, when you come back home to Champaign, it's a huge move. It's one of the biggest splashes of the college hoops offseason. It's cool to see you hooping at Illinois. I'd love to know, this is in no way to put down previously, so know how I'm asking this question, what your previous stop. But in what ways or in what way has Brad and his staff opened your eyes to something in your game that you didn't previously think about or see in yourself?
I felt like Arizona, it's just, the offense, they're more paint dominated, getting the ball in the post, finding pick and rolls like that, little swivel back stuff like that. Our offense here, we want the paint open, shooters spaced wide. So I always thought, maybe I need to work on my driving game, something like that. I honestly feel like now the paint being more open has helped me just be more creative in that aspect of my game. I now can have the chance to get downhill. I can get to my Gortats, get a little mid-range as floaters, layups, and create for others now more with its being space. So I think that's been the biggest thing. When we first got here, I didn't know how I was going to feel about being, in those situations because I was never really getting in the paint, trying to get to the rim, stuff like that. But I think it's helped me tremendously in that aspect of my game.
All right, what spot have you loved getting back to, back home? What restaurant? What food spot? What's your place? Where's Kylan Boswell loving?
I just don't. Coach Fletch can't hear me. That's the only thing. He gets mad when we eat boo boo. But Monocle's. I grew up eating Monocle's all the time. That's pizza. That's one of my favorite spots here. I go there all the time.
LaTulip knows.
I know Monocle's.
That red French
Monocle's
French dressing. Be pouring that everywhere,
Hey,
man. That stuff is
bro.
gas.
You already know.
Michael, wrap this with one more for Kylan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I'll ask a pretty, I don't want to say broad question, but I mean, where do you see this team going? Right? I know you guys had a really staggered arrivals to campus, didn't really have a full team all summer. Now you got the whole fall, you got the early season, or I guess the non-conference play, got some conference obviously sprinkled in there. But where do you see this going, man? Like you've been on really good teams. You've won games in the NCAA tournament. Where does this Illinois team stack up?
You always say it, kind of in the back of your head, you're like, that might be a stretch or something. National championship has been our biggest thing. That's the biggest goal for us. How we play on the offensive end, we're hard to guard. We have too many options. We have too many guys who can just put the ball on the rim, too many guys who can make plays for others. And on the defensive end, we're just continuously getting better and better every day. I think our biggest thing in the beginning of the season was always having the same mindset and aggressiveness. And as long as we keep on installing that into our brains every day to come out on the defensive end and put the pressure on the other team, I really don't see a team that's better us in that whole aspect.
Kylan Boswell, you were awesome. Thank you. You are awesome. We love watching
Appreciate
you
you.
hoop. And I know this,
Thank you,
Kylan.
guys.
You can't wait to see that crowd on Saturday evening in
Man,
Champaign.
man. Man,
team comes
even today was a whole different level. I know for a fact Saturday is going to be popping. That's the best games when it's a packed out gym against a great team. That's the best games.
Now I got to get some Monacos. Kylan Boswell, thank you for the time. Have a great night.
Appreciate you
There he
guys.
is.
Appreciate you.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. I'll tell you what, thanks to Derek Burson as well at Illinois. It's late.
DB.
And,
DB. Shout out DB.
Yeah. Anytime we get an interview, I'm going to shout out our SIDs because they do the Lord's work. Toast to the night here. Toast to the night. Where do you want to go? Who do you want to toast? Tyler Hansbrough, toast somebody.
I'm going to my guy, Cal, getting a big win. They pulled it out. They tried to give it away.
Wait a minute. Your guy.
Starting Arkansas.
Hold on.
Hold on. Into SEC play.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Since when did he become your guy? And is he now your guy because he's no longer at Kentucky?
No, I'm just happy for him to get a win. I just wanted to say my guy, Coach Cal. I'm cheering him. It's a new year. New year, new me.
Wow.
Okay. All right. That is truly a new Hansbrough because I never heard that once from you last year. Never. You still dislike Kentucky fans more than you dislike Duke fans, correct?
Oh, Kentucky fans are the worst. Oh, yeah. This has nothing to do with Cal. This has to do with Big Blue Nation, but it's a different story, Fanta.
Go ahead, Mike.
Toast of the night is going to none other than Jakari White, North Dakota State. Just unbelievable tonight at Butler, 7-9 from 3, hitting him every which way off the bounce, curls. I mean, he put them into a blender in the first half, and they were able to hold on. It's a big road win for the Bison, and Jakari White was a big reason for that.
My toast tonight is to the Ivy League because Brown beats Rhode Island in double overtime. And if you don't know Mike Martin, he's one of the great dudes, the coach at Brown. His team plays so hard. It's a terrific win for Brown. Rhode Island, it's an agonizing loss because I knew, and even Archie Miller told us, like, it's a really tough game to play off the big win over Providence. You have to play another local against Brown. For Brown, that's a Super Bowl-like game. And the Bears, they treated it as such, and they won this game. That's a big win for Brown. They find a way in double overtime. And the reason why I'm toasting the Ivy League is 42 seconds to go. Cornell is up 82-76 on Cal. So Cornell behind A.K. Okorike, who has 22 points. Cooper Noir with 19. The Big Red are on the cusp of beating California on the road. Princeton also a winner tonight. I'm just telling you, fellas, I've done it now the last 2 or 3 years. And I've even helped some make some cash off it, Tyler. In the first round of the NCAA tournament, take the Ivy League team. Last year, Yale, they beat Arkansas. The year before that, Princeton went to the Sweet 16. That league knows how to win tournament games. So a toast to the Ivy League tonight. My Zero Sugar 7-Up. A toast to the Ivy League. Fellas, this was a fun show. And Tyler, how many million would it have taken for you to go to BYU?
Ballpark $7 million, tax free. I think I would start thinking about it around there. So, yeah,
tax free.
But important distinction.
Would you be able to would you have to bend the rules a little bit on that campus? Because they've got certain rules. I mean,
the college life is much different. It's it would be I would have to get compensated for that as well. So,
got it. That's going to do it for us on After Dark. He's Tyler Hansbrough, Mike LaTulip, for our producer, Dagan Hughes. For Kylan Boswell, I'm John Fanta saying good night. Thanks for watching. This has been After Dark.